Hello and welcome back to Gosho readings. Today's Gosho is A Ship to Cross the Sea of Suffering. This was written in 1260 to Shiijo Shiro. The Daishonin writes, "When I asked him about what you told me the other day, I found it to be exactly as you said. You should therefore strive in faith more than ever to receive the blessings of the Lotus Sutra. Listen with the ears of Shi Kuang and observe with the eyes of Li Lu." There's a little footnote there that explains these were legendary figures in China, famed for their extraordinary hearing in the one case and vision in the other. Back to the Gosho. In the latter day of the law, the votary of the Lotus Sutra will appear without fail. The greater the hardships befalling him, the greater the delight he feels because of his strong faith. Doesn't a fire burn more briskly when logs are added? All rivers run to the sea, but does its fullness make the rivers flow backward? The currents of hardship pour into the sea of the Lotus Sutra and rush against its votary. The river is not rejected by the ocean, neither does the votary reject suffering. Were it not for the flowing rivers, there would be no sea. Likewise, without tribulations, there would be no votary of the Lotus Sutra. As Chen Tai stated, quote, "All rivers flow to the sea, and logs make a fire roar," unquote. You must realize that it is because of a deep karmic relationship from the past that you can teach others even a sentence or a phrase of the Lotus Sutra. The sutra reads, quote, "It is extremely difficult to save those who are deaf to the true law," unquote. The true law means the Lotus Sutra. A passage from the Hoshi chapter reads, "If there is someone, whether man or woman, who secretly teaches to one person even a single phrase of the Lotus Sutra, let it be known that he is the envoy of the Buddha," unquote. This means that anyone who teaches others even a single phrase of the Lotus Sutra is clearly the Buddha's envoy, whether he be priest or nun, lay man or woman. You are a lay believer and one of those described in the sutra. One who hears even a sentence or phrase of the Lotus Sutra and cherishes it deep in his heart may be likened to a ship which navigates the sea of suffering. The great teacher Miao Lo stated, quote, "Even a single phrase cherished deep in one's heart will without fail help him reach the opposite shore. To ponder one phrase and practice it is to exercise navigation," unquote. A passage from the Lotus Sutra reads, quote, "As though one had found a ship to make the crossing," unquote. This ship might be described as follows: the Lord Buddha, a shipbuilder of infinitely profound wisdom, gathered the lumber of the four tastes and 8 teachings, planed it by honestly discarding the provisional teachings, cut and assembled the planks, using both right and wrong, and completed the craft by driving home the spikes of the one supreme teaching. Thus he launched the ship upon the sea of suffering, unfurling the sails of the 3,000 conditions on the mast of the middle way doctrine, driven by the fair wind of, quote, "all phenomena reveal the true entity," unquote. The vessel surges ahead, carrying all believers who can enter Buddhahood by their pure faith. Shakyamuni Buddha is the helmsman, Taho Buddha mans the sails, and the 4 bodhisattvas, led by Jogyo, strain in unison at the creaking oars. This is the ship in, quote, "a ship to make the crossing," unquote. The vessel of Myoho Renge Kyo. Those who board it are the disciples and followers of Nichiren. Believe this wholeheartedly. When you visit Shiijo Kingo, please have an earnest talk with him. I will write you again with my deep respect. Nichiren, the 28th day of the 4th month. I'll now read the background. This letter was written on April 28th, 1261, about 2 weeks before Nichiren Daishonin was exiled to Izu Peninsula. Shiijo Shiro lived in the province of Suruga. Little is known about him, but from this letter it is apparent that he knew one of the Daishonin's leading disciples, Shiijo Kingo. The Daishonin was then 40 years old and residing in Kamakura. 1 year earlier, he had submitted a letter of remonstration to the former regent Hojo Tokiyori, who, though officially retired, was politically the most powerful man in Kamakura. Possibly having heard of a plot to exile him, the Daishonin wrote this Gosho telling his disciples to be brave, even if persecutions should occur. The first half states that the votary of the Lotus Sutra is certain to appear in the latter day of the law and to meet with great persecution. The Daishonin says the greater the hardships befalling him, the greater the delight he feels because of his strong faith. Doesn't a fire burn more briskly when logs are added? The name votary of the Lotus Sutra can be applied only to one who has met, confronted, and overcome the great hardships described in the sutra. The second part encourages Shiijo Shiro to have faith that the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra is the ship that can unfailingly transport him to the distant shore of enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra is the highest of all Shakyamuni's teachings, and in the latter day of the law, it corresponds to the Gohonzon. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoy this reading, please like me below and subscribe, and you can be notified of upcoming readings. I will be working my way through at least volume 1 and hopefully on to volume 2, which has the really long Goshos in it, and then 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, unless somebody complains and would prefer that I use the more recent compilations, which have 2 volumes. But because I spent so much time with these books, which were smaller and had just a few Gosho in them, relatively, I like to read from them. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps you with your practice and faith. Thank you.